is an author and Danish Qureshi is a political analyst. Sanjay Jha, your view on the sequence of events as they have played out. As I said, I, I just hope that people in this country haven't forgotten the horror, the absolute horror that Bilkis Bano went through on 3rd of March 2002. Here is a woman, 21-year-old, 5 months pregnant, gang raped by 11 men. Obviously, the baby in her womb doesn't survive. Neither does the 3-year-old daughter she has, because her head has been banged to a wall and she dies immediately in front of Bilkis's eyes. There are 7 family members who are murdered in front of her. And the only reason why Bilkis Bano survives is because when she's being gang raped, she passes out. She becomes unconscious. These men think she's dead.
Yeah.
I just hope people haven't forgotten the horror of what happened in 2002 as they see these pictures. Because every right-thinking citizen, Sanjay, in this country should be aghast and ashamed at these pictures. And not just these pictures, but the pictures that came to us from 15th August 2022.
Yeah. Shreya, firstly, I want to tell you thank you so much for discussing the Bilkis Bano problem. It's a shame for the country. I mean, there are no other words. I mean, one is left speechless. I'm glad you kind of expressed the horror that she's gone through. It's repugnant. It's disgusting. It makes you sick, to be honest. Anyone who reads this, and I recommend to all your watchers to Google it. And if you don't feel like throwing up at the vulgarity, at the violence, the hate, I mean, nothing ever will change you beyond this. And I'll tell you what, Shreya, I heard the lawyers speak right now, and I just feel, you know what, I'm a political creature. There are lawyers on your program. You are a very popular anchor, but above all, there is something called as humanity, right? And I see a complete absence of that. Don't forget, Shreya, that she had to knock on doors to file an FIR. That eventually there was no, shall we say, conviction of, in the courts that she will get justice, and her case had to be moved out of Gujarat to Maharashtra. She gets her compensation, I think, in 2017. I mean, I know somebody in my family who lost his daughter when she was just 3 years old. But I can't imagine somebody's daughter being killed in front of her eyes at 3 years of age. I mean, I would say forget compensation. Can you imagine the mental health, the trauma? And she's still being subjected to that. And for people to kind of celebrate the release of these convicts. And we all discovered later on the central government had a big role in that as well. They gave it a green chit. I mean, to be honest with you, I want to be very bipartisan here. I don't want to even mention the name of the ruling party. I think they are absolutely contemptible. I think they are the pits of the universe. I do hope at some point people of India wake up to the reality. This is not about politics. This is about the way we have become as a society. Let the law take its own course, to borrow the famous term. Supreme Court will hear it on April 18th. And whatever the Supreme Court says, we'll have to accept it as a final verdict. But Shreya, let me tell you that the Bilkis Bano case, in my opinion, if that doesn't become a turning point on the way we are as people or as a society, I think nothing will.
Namit Saxena, how is what happened on Saturday in Gujarat okay? You're seeing the pictures, you know the story, I'm not going to repeat it. How is it okay for an MP of the ruling dispensation, an MLA of the ruling dispensation, happily share stage with one of the men who were involved in a gang rape? This is just brazening it out. This is saying, kar lo jo karna hai. Yes, wo star campaigner, one of the men will be a star campaigner in our Gujarat elections. Kar lo jo karna hai.
I fail to understand why is this, this hoo-ha created. See, there is something which is known as reformative justice. These men were convicted by a trial court, by the High Court, and by the Supreme Court. They have served the sentence. They have been remitted under the remission policy, with the Supreme Court, told, that the state of Gujarat is empowered to take. Now, after they release, they are entitled to live like a normal life, which they want to. So, this sharing of stage, etc., assuming, we can't put this against the BJP MP. Like, for example, you have invited me on this panel. I don't know the credentials of Mr. Sanjay Jha or Mr. Danish. Tomorrow, if there's something against them, will I be blamed to have shared a stage with them? It is as simple as this. We can't work on a premise that, that once a person is convicted, he has to be convicted for his entire life. Even after remission, he's entitled to lead a normal life. And the Supreme Court is seized of the matters. This is sub judice, and whether their remission was right or wrong. Either way, the Supreme Court is going to decide it now. They've issued notice. But but we can't project our society on a premise that every man who goes to a jail is now to be labeled with something. This is absolutely incorrect. This is contrary to the reformative justice we have in our criminal legal jurisprudence in criminal justice administration. We have to understand this and remember this. So when you say that these are murderers and these are established convicts, they are, of course.
I wonder, Namit. I wonder if Nirbhaya's rapists had not been hanged, if they would be allowed to walk free after 15 years and live a normal life. And if that's the case, then we are normalizing gang rapes.
Not the law as it ought to be. The law as ought to be is very broad. The law as it is to be understood, and that is, see, as a lawyer, I can only say this much. Law as it is to be followed. That is the spirit of law. That is the spirit of legal jurisprudence we have. Law ought to be is very subjective. Law, what Shreya may think, what Mr. Sanjay Jha may think, what Mr. Danish may think, ought to be very, very, very wide. Law as it stands is this. There
is law and then there is morality. There is, law may be subjective, but the fact is that we are very clear about what is right and what is wrong. This is plain wrong. It's plain wrong. For any political system, to release these 11 convicts, as I said, let's all think to ourselves, what if Nirbhaya's rapists were released after 15 years and then garlanded and celebrated like this? Would we have tolerated it?
Yes, see the
law whatever is okay. I mean, you can argue, you can give me 20 legal arguments, Namit, lekin galat hota hai na.
Which they have served. And they have been remitted under the policy made in 1992. This is not a 2022 policy. This policy was made 30 years back. So many convicts, accused of rape, released on remission under this policy.
They have served only 15 years.
That is the law.
तो यानी कि आप किसी का भी रेप कर दीजिए इस देश में. In 15 years, I know it's the law. I understand, Namit. I understand.
No, just listen to me. They in and out.
I understand, but in this country, you can rape anyone in 15 years, walk free, and lead a normal life
after being released on remission. This happens day in and out. And I'll tell you as a matter of fact, you're calling this crime horrendous crime. The Supreme Court called it a horrendous crime. It is. And I'll tell you much more horrendous crimes than this, on which established convicts are released on remission. Are they disentitled to have a social life after that? Are we supposed to, just fill our jails completely?
Well, you certainly.
See, the law took its course in Nirbhaya's case.
No, you empty your jails. You empty jails.
As it is, law applies.
Release all political prisoners.
And arms length principle to all across, all citizens. It can't be, different for different people. The sentence given to them was life imprisonment. They have served.
Rapists can walk free.
Entitled to claim remission. Okay. Remission
they have served 15 years.
Grant is right or not, it's sub judice.
People accused of corruption have to live in jail forever. And people who have been convicted of rape can walk free in 15 years and be celebrated and garlanded and accepted with such open hearts.
They are entitled to claim remission. Remission policy they are under. It is not.
Galat hai. ठीक है. Sanjay Jha, you want to come in? I don't. Okay, Namit. I think I agree that whatever has happened is lawful. Whatever happened with Rahul Gandhi is absolutely lawful. It's by the law. लेकिन as I said, गलत होता है और सही होता है. What has happened was गलत. What happened on 15th of August 2022 was galat. What happened on Saturday is galat. Sanjay Jha, you want to come in very quickly? I want to go to Danish after that.
Yeah. I think there are two short points I would love to hear Mr. Qureshi as well. I won't like to take away his time. Number one, this is not an ordinary crime. This is rape. This is rape. This is gang rape. This is a heinous crime. This is ghastly, gruesome, ugly. And I can tell you, Mr. Saxena, the world is aware of the number of people in prisons in India under trials who have not even been convicted, who continue to languish in jail for years, and who are ultimately freed because there was no charge sheet against them. You want to talk of human rights violations? This is, frankly speaking, in my opinion, scandalous, and we should hang our heads in shame. I know you're reading out the legality and the riot act of the law, and I understand that. I'm not saying that you're wrong. But at some point, there is something in public life called as propriety. And I will tell you something else. I have been in politics, okay? And trust me, in politics, people die to get with the onto the big munch. There is a big clamor to be in that VIP gallery that sits behind leaders. To tell me that somebody just sneaked into that entire podium by default is a joke. This is an invitation. This goes through a stringent protocol approval. And I know how BJP works on his public posturing. So let us not try and, kind of trivialize the presence of this man with BJP leaders. That's all.
Danish Qureshi, come here. This was clearly an invitation. And whoever invited him knew exactly what the reaction is going to be. But this is just a case of the BJP brazening it out and saying, kar lo jo karna hai.
देखिए, आई एम टोटली डिसअपॉइंटेड विद द स्टेटमेंट ऑफ मिस्टर नमित. जिस तरह से वो कानून के संबंध की बात कर रहे हैं ना, टुडे आई वाज ऑन द डिबेट एट वन नेशनल चैनल. उसमें ये दिखाया गया कि अमृतपाल की हत्या का हत्यारा अतीक अहमद is shifted to UP, and tomorrow he will get the judgment in that matter of Umesh Pal. Problem is that one murder is so heinous that entire national media has come out in favor of Baba, that Baba will destroy the empire of Atiq Ahmed. That is good, very good. लेकिन दूसरे हाथ में जब एक देश की नागरिक महिला बिल्किस बानो, जिसका गैंग रेप हुआ. Now I want to define the definition of gang. In Gujarat, there was a gang known as Latif gang. They have killed number of people, mass murder in Radhika Jimkhana. उसके कन्विक्टेड आज तक नहीं छूटे. उसमें सिर्फ मर्डर हुए थे, 7 या 9 लोगों के मर्डर हुए थे. बट बिल्किस बानो में तो मर्डर भी हुए, रेप भी हुआ. इवन दैट नमीत जी ये कह रहे हैं कि लॉ इज लॉ, दैट इज गुड, लॉ इज लॉ. But the problem is that MP and MLA, when they share the stage with this type of the people, those who are threat to the society, those who cannot allow to live in this society, those who have done the heinous crime, those who have raped a woman who was pregnant at that moment, अगर उनके लिए आपके दिल में कानून के नाम पे सहानुभूति, let me allow to complete, कानून के नाम पे सहानुभूति है, तो मुझे अफसोस है कि मैं दुआ करूंगा कि खुदा से कि हमारे किसी पैनलिस्ट के घर में ऐसी घटना ना घट जाए. फिर हम देखेंगे कि किस तरह से डिफेंड होगा उसको.
The fact is that why did those men not hang? They should have hanged. The court decided in its judgment not to hang them. Then they are granted remission. After serving 15 years, they are let off. And now, as I said, they are happily celebrating their lives on stage with BJP leaders. This is a wrong. A wrong has been done. Will the Supreme Court right it? We don't know. The Supreme Court has now started hearing the matter. We'll leave it there for the moment, gentlemen. Namit, I get your point. You're saying everything is as per law. But well, as I said, what is wrong is wrong. We'll leave it there for the moment. Thank you, Namit, for joining us. Sanjay Jha, thank you very much. And Danish Qureshi, thank you very much for joining us as well. We are moving to